Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It is great to see you. Happy Hump Day. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back. We carved out a little time in the middle of the week to work on completing a couple of the other episodes we started this past week and the week before. This morning, and I'm going to greet you in just a second. Thank you for coming. We're going to complete our sort of conversation and our look at the current issue of ATHA magazine, which just came. We started that on Monday, but it is a beautiful issue, and there are lots of spectacular pieces in there, and it cannot be rushed. So we will be continuing our look at ATHA magazine. That is the Art of Rug Making, and ATHA is the Association of Traditional Rug Hooking Artists. This is issue number 273, April, May 2025. We're going to look at that, and we're going to conclude, hopefully, our look at fabric postcards. We were partway through this beautiful book. I'll reintroduce you to these two books. Sorry, green screen. We'll look at that as well, because many of you are working on the small rug challenge, the postcard-sized rug challenge. That's 4x6, isn't it? You are doing the rug exchange, and many of you are sending me your rugs that are not due yet, not due until May 1st, sending me your rugs so I can kind of compile them into an article for Magpie Times. That'll be coming up in the summer issue. Wish you were here. Holiday postcards. Postcard images from your town. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I haven't heard of this yet, am I too late to the party? You're not too late to the party. They're not due until May 1st, at least the images from me. The exchange will happen after that. People are still being paired up. People are still signing up and saying, I'm working on something. I'll have it done. It's only April 9th. Easy for me to say, right? Because everybody works at different speeds. But if you feel that between now, April 9th, Wednesday, and the 1st of May that you can finish a postcard, then you could certainly be in the exchange either way. But you might get it done, be able to mail it to me at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com, and I could put it into that feature article for the upcoming Magpie Times magazine, the summer issue. Wish you were here. Vacation postcards. So we'll look at those two things during our time together today. Jocelyn is having another half day, a second half day this week, which is fine. It's for teachers' meetings. But my common sense question to the universe is, why do they have children having half days on, like, for example, Tuesday, Wednesday, on the eve of a week off? Wouldn't it be more sort of thoughtful and forward planning to parents, too, who have to drop what they're doing and drive kids around, to have it maybe Thursday and Friday for people who have one foot out the door on a vacation and the other on a banana peel? I don't know. Nobody asks my opinion for these things, but I will say everything seems to work backwards, and I just don't understand. Anyway, I will be away this weekend. That's why we aren't having a Friday show this week. I'm sorry about that, and I will make it up to you. But this weekend, I'm heading to Maine on Friday to be with the Tin Peddlers Guild on Saturday. And I am running a class that I haven't done before. It is a composition class on spring subjects. And I don't want to give anything away, but we've got some well-known artists in there, some classic sort of rug hooking motifs. It will be an adventure, a sketching adventure for everybody. From the person who doesn't even like to pick up a pen or a pencil to make a grocery list because they can't write anything, they can't draw, they can't write. I'm not good at that stuff. To the person who has always done their own designing and feels like they could do the presentation. It's both of those people, and it's everything in between. And if you are anywhere near the Tin Peddlers Guild in Maine, and I know that includes a lot of people from Vermont and New Hampshire, make sure that you're in touch with me or with the guild, because I know that all ATHA guilds welcome people to come and visit, check out the guild, see who's there. Maybe there are some great friend connections there as well. It's such a nice group of people. I'm looking forward to doing that this weekend. And then next week, the kids are off school. So I should be on I'll have to see about Monday. We'll have to see when we're coming back and all that stuff. But I'll post my schedule for you so you all know what I'm doing. I'm wondering why I can't see the top of my, how strange is this? Hold on. Got something going on here. There we go. Thanks, Streamlabs. I love a good update. Shannon, great to see you. Absolutely love the cover image. Oh, that is a beauty. I don't think we've looked at that one yet. That's an ATHA magazine. Cheryl, how's it going? Did you get the thing off? Are you free of surgery stuff and back on the mend and back in action now? Great to see you sunny and cool on the Cape. Kaz, great to see you. Good morning in Wisconsin. No more snow, right? Right? Mom, great to see you. Good wishes of the morning to all of you. Thankful for this pop-up coffee time. I need an infusion of energy, and Deanna will be the source of that. I hope so. Let's see how it goes. I do have a lot of energy right now. It's a little bit of frenetic energy because there's lots going on. Linda B, great to see you. Good morning. Karen, great to see you in Black Forest, Colorado. It's looking beautiful there too. I have all the windows open. The snow is gone there for sure. Great, Judy. Great to see you. You are working on your postcard as you watch. The small size is a real challenge. It sure is. Anything small, it's like putting all of that information, all of those ideas, the color plan, the lines into a crucible, burning it up, and you get just the bare minimum. And it is possible, as we've seen and as we'll see today, to make, painterly, I love that word lately, little touches, little impressionist touches here and there. But it is hard. It's hard to figure it because it's a small space. On a great big thing, it takes forever to do, but at least you've got lots of times to think and make changes. And small pieces are harder. That's why it's such a great challenge. And so far, all of the ones I've seen are absolutely beautiful. Cass says, no snow there, but it is still cold. Oh, I have to admit, today's the first day it's kind of warmed up, which is really nice. After weeks of rain, our hot water tank crapped out a couple of days ago. So yesterday, I had Teddy bathe and I myself bathed in a hip bath, which is basically like that giant enamel pot that I use for dyeing. Probably wasn't healthy, but using that as to fill with water from the stove, right? From the stove. Whew, that was a fun twist on already very busy days. So I was working on that yesterday. I will have more Tigger updates for you soon. The Tigger membership is open. We've had so many conversations, and we keep kind of rethinking what we've got going. And I will keep you updated here, of course. But we've got some fun stuff on the horizon and lots of great content coming at Tigger members. For those of you who are interested. And, I am the president of Tigger. Rebecca is the vice president. My friend Rebecca, she was with us on International Punch Needle Day. So we're figuring out all kinds of things. But what I do know for sure is we'll be bringing you some great content in the near future. I spent an hour this morning talking to Liz Marino. And, of course, she is heading up that endangered species rug project. And I believe it is closed now because there are over 100 people creating endangered species rugs. That's a lot. So in terms of being able to display those rugs, both at Tigger and Sauter 2027, and she's working on a book project. That's a lot of rugs. So she says, if you love the project and you're doing it anyway, that's great. But she has like the synthesized list of people who are actually, she's checked that the animal is endangered, and lots of different styles, lots of different people participating. And I will be taking a ride out to her in Massachusetts, her and her llamas, in the near future, possibly with Naomi and Haley from Tigger, and interviewing Liz and talking to her about how that project went from being this small idea. I remember her, we were on the phone again talking about it. I bounce a lot of things off of her because she's such a genius, and I love talking to her. We were talking about just the seed of the idea, and now it's like 120 plus people. I mean, it's great when things work like that. If there's anyone out there who's thinking, I wanted to do one, but I was a little bit slow, or I'm just coming to it, I just want to let you know that there are other projects and challenges that are coming up, not just within ribbon candy hooking, but for display at Sauter, at Tigger, lots of things happening. I have another project that I'm not ready to talk about yet because I don't want it whisked away from me. If I think it's a great idea, but I'll be announcing that soon too, and that will also evolve into one of the exhibits for Tigger, right? 2027, the next Tigger event. So let's see how it goes. Cheryl says, yes, the wrap is off, minimal movement for 2 weeks. Yeah, well, it's nice to kind of, it gives you permission to just kind of sit around and take it easy. You have such a great figure. You're so slim anyway. You can just sit there and eat for the next 2 weeks and you'll be fine. I'm happy to hear that things are moving along though. So we've got lots to think about, lots to talk about. There might be another trip to Newport on the horizon for next week to record a video and kind of walk you into that. And of course, I'll share all of that information here on Ribbon Candy Hooking too, of course. So I'll keep you updated on all of the moving parts. There's lots of moving parts, I'll tell you. But it is fun to be busy in the right way, isn't it? I forgot the kids had a vacation this coming week. So that was a bit of a bombshell. It was like, oh, well, had I but known, right? And shame on me for not knowing. I might have changed the dates of my trip to Maine, but then I booked that non-refundable room. So it is what it is. Mom, we're hoping maybe we can stay with you on Sunday night on the ride home, just so we can make Sunday a real day. Oh dear, oh dear. How is it done? How do people do this with children who are still young and work and all of this? Hats off. Hats off to everyone who's done it, who's doing it now, and who is about to do it. All right, let's return to ATHA magazine, issue number 273. We started on Monday looking at this issue. We looked at the poppies and lupines. I really loved that. I think the last thing we looked at was the Maryland rug. Do you remember from Monday? You can certainly go back and look at the Monday. All of the past videos are always there for you, God willing, that nothing changes in that regard, because we have thousands of videos up on Ribbon Candy Hooking now, and I'm very proud of that. So Monday's episode is there for you. Oh, Jessica, great to see you. Gayla, great to see you. Good morning, your crafty friends. Good morning. I love to think of you all sitting out there, half listening, half working on something. It's the way to do it, isn't it? That's the best moments. So I'm going to start this episode with an article called Geranium and Hydrangea. Doesn't that sound nice? It sounds like maybe two cats, right, sitting on a stone wall. Or it's just so cute, isn't it? Geranium and Hydrangea. And this article is by Linda Rather, Raether, from Wausau, Wisconsin. Any Wisconsin friends know Linda? I'm curious. And this is the ATHA region number 9. It doesn't say a guild, so she lives in ATHA region number 9, but it doesn't say if she's associated with a guild. It's funny; it's almost like it's left out. Her brand is Linda Rather Designs, and she has a website, so that's lindaratherdesigns.com. Something to check out. This is a beautiful article. Let me show you the first picture that I'm looking at. This one here, geranium. This has got to be a geranium, right? It's certainly not the hydrangea. And Linda starts the article by saying, "The landscape around me is a constant source of inspiration. I watch the colors change with the seasons in our Wisconsin woods, and I try to capture those colors in wool. But it's the flowers in my garden that I carefully study. Recreating the color nuances in flowers is a personal challenge that I have dived into with both feet and both hands." And then she talks about rug hooking for herself. So this is an art. I don't read the articles right because I assume that you subscribe to ATHA or that your copy might be yet to come. But I wanted to show you this image of the geranium on the screen because it is such a great example of a still life, right? A flower pot, right? We have traditional flower pots and vase images in rug hooking. That is one of the I wonder, Carol and Robin, if Carol and Robin know Linda. I was wondering that too. Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great to connect. And I still do plan to come out there this year, Cass, just so you know. I'm feeling a little bit better about flying these days. The idea of a vase or a basket as a motif is an old one, isn't it? It certainly predates rug hooking. But we see them in early samplers and needlework, at all kinds of places, all kinds of decorative arts. And certainly with painting too, doing a still life with flowers. This goes back to the beginning of time. This is an exceptional one in our rug hooking world because it is so stylized, right? There isn't realism here. There's shading and color changes, probably what Rebecca referred to as mock shading. There's color changes, but one of the things that makes this piece so interesting in my mind is the form, right? The form is absolutely beautiful, but also, hang on, I'm trying to get you to the next slide. There we go. Is the materials. Sorry, I'm taking photographs from the magazine, so some of them don't look this good, but don't look that good color-wise. But you can see the idea that as Linda is putting together the geranium composition, she's using all kinds of materials. And just looking at our background, and I'll show you geraniums, the geranium again, but you can see that there is like different gauges, different thicknesses of yarn. There's like the boucle, the curly yarn. There's the high twist roving. There's straight up roving. There's very thick materials heading more toward bulky. And using all those different lights allows you to create a background that looks like this. Now there's a little bit of a confetti effect in the background too, with pops of different colors here and there. But isn't it interesting? Doesn't it add so much texture to a piece when you start messing around with different materials? And you think, oh, I've got all of these whites. Well, what, it's going to come out white. It's not going to come out white. When you use all of these different types of materials, even if they're all wool, right? Different kinds of yarn and roving, different degrees of twists and curls, bulkiness, very, very thin. You will get a very varied background. Say that 20 times. And it will be a joy to hook because of the variety, and it will be a joy to behold because it's absolutely beautiful. This is something this style is something the Canadians have been doing for years. I love to see more and more of the American sort of population of rug hookers working in lots of different materials. It's just a different look, right? A change is as good as a rest. Sometimes I hear people say like, oh, I've hooked so much stuff, I don't have any more ideas, or I don't have any more whatever. Well, you can look for another pattern and hook another pattern, but you could always mix up your materials. You can also mix up your technique and move to latch or punch or Rhea rugs or whatever, and or stitching with a needle, right? Or felting, whatever. And this is just a great example how you can stay within rug hooking and yet still do something that is quite different and feels quite different to make, and looks quite different when you step back and look at it. So this is the second piece that's called Hydrangea, still by Linda Rather. Absolutely beautiful. Do you remember the geranium composition had like that white background? This is the dark background. This is a similar motif because it's still a floral from Linda's garden, I believe. But this is more of a crop, isn't it? Oh, Kirsten, great to see you. This is more of a crop. So we aren't seeing, like in the last one we saw the vase, or the blue pail, the little bucket with the bouquet of geranium flowers. Here we're seeing a crop of the hydrangea bush. And so it's a completely different composition. This reads more as a pattern because we're looking at a crop. We're not looking at a complete still life, but we are looking at flowers that are out in nature, still from Linda's garden, still using different materials. With this one, there are different kinds of yarns being used, but also like ribbon, sari ribbon, possibly, I'm not sure, but it looks like maybe the raffia, that it's like a ribbon, but it's more organic feeling. All these things that you can hook with, but very different vibe when we're looking at the white background versus the black background. Rita, great to see you. Welcome, my love. So really nice article there. Let me see what I skipped to next. This is what I got to next. So again, I have to say, I feel compelled to say, because it always breaks my heart, I'm skipping over some things just because I don't want to show everything. And it's not because they're not all beautiful. If your work is here in ATHA magazine, I have seen it and I love it. I celebrate it in my heart. It's just a time thing here on the show, right? So, and I like to talk about different people on different days just for the sake of celebrating different styles, right, and different makers. So this piece comes from ATHA Region Number 9. This is Darlene Switalski of Norman, Oklahoma. And this chapter is called the OK Scissortail Fiber Arts chapter. And this article is called Quail Among the Miners' Lettuce. So, beautiful piece. Many of you remarked on this already. This article by Darlene starts out with, "This quail rug inspired me while attending the 2019 ATHA Biennial in Denver, Colorado. The rug appeared in the rug show, and my love for birds sent me searching for the pattern. I was excited to find the pattern at one of the vendors. I believe it was Sharon Smith. It does look like a Sharon Smith, doesn't it? Now I was in search of wool, and I found colors of wool that I thought would look great with the pattern from Colorama. And they have advertisements in the magazine, always in ATHA magazine. Then once back home, as many of us do, I put the pattern in the wool in the closet, and I told myself I'd start it in the future. That future came 3 years later, in May of 2022, when a friend invited me to attend Dragonfly on the Lakes in Ripley, West Virginia. The area is known for arts and crafts at the Cedar Lake State Conference Center. My chosen teacher was Joan Reckfert from Bend, Oregon. Joan helped me with color planning and choosing some of her wool to match the original wool. The article goes on, but I think the takeaway from at least the beginning of the article is, yeah, we are, I think, by nature's magpies, right? Hoarders. We like to buy materials. It makes us feel excited about future projects. And it also, I think, makes us feel like we're making progress. Like, good, got my materials. I'll use it now or later or soon or then or whenever. But good, I got some materials, moving right along, right? And then you don't do anything. It is a way of making progress, certainly. And it's a way of staying engaged and inspired. And it is definitely a very common thing that a project will wait for many years. 3 years is not even so bad. Quail among Miner's Lettuce, absolutely beautiful piece, the way that this came out. Okay, so it's not by, it says, it's funny, in the article it says Sharon Smith, but in the write-up it says designed by Denise Killingsworth, 2019, hooked by Darlene Switalski, as we said, started in May of 2022 and completed in December of 2024. And this piece is 18 by 28. What a showstopper it is. Now, I'm sure there are different things about this piece that stand out to all of us. The composition is adorable, isn't it? It's like the pair of quails with the babies who always have those big fat bodies, right? Those soft puffy bodies. Very, very sweet composition. And interrupted with this very sort of, and we talked about this in the Monday episode when we were looking at a different composition, very Art Nouveau / Art Deco arrangement of flowers in the background. There is no actual grounding. There is no horizon line. There's no vanishing point. It is a patterned background. And when we see these sorts of stylized flowers, in this case maybe poppies or just general placeholder for a flower, we see them standing up straight on stems like that. It does bring us back to the Art Nouveau, Art Deco era, right? It's not realism at all. And this piece is interesting because it contrasts a bit more realism in the birds than it does in the background. So two distinctly different styles happening here, creating drama, creating interest. The colors are fantastic. I feel like the image on my monitor is a bit more yellow than it actually is. It's very limey with a hint of a shadow of a richer, more sort of lemonade yellow in the foreground. And then it kind of backs off, right? That oversaturation kind of backs off in the distance. And we're looking, again, at no horizon line, but we're looking at a cluster of interest. The vignette that we see are the birds, like watching over the babies, standing in this field of beautiful flowers with great color choices, oranges, purples, and in the background, greens. Lots of neutrals. The birds are completely neutral, black, white, brown, all neutral colors. The stems are also neutral. So we're looking at a limited palette, as we often do, and as we often say, it is a very colorful piece. So see how far you can go, see how much mileage you can get with just a few colors, but different shades or tones or saturations of the different colors. Oh, thanks, Gayla. I love this piece. And I think one of the things that probably stands out to you too, that helps with that, the storytelling is happening on a horizontal. The birds over to the side with their baby birds, that's a horizontal story, right? They're next to them sideways, horizontally. But the rest of the story is happening vertically. And that's kind of the advanced eye part that people who have, art training or who do a lot of rug hooking, you pick up on this part because it's a huge part of the composition. There is horizontal storytelling, but the thrust of the hooking is vertical. And that also helps to create drama. So we get these vertical stems. They don't wiggle. They're not wobbly, weepy stems. They are straight at attention, little soldier stems. And also working vertically is the entire background. It is all hooked vertically, right? And what is directional hooking? Directional hooking is when you make a conscious decision to hook in a certain direction. It's not whether you hooked like marble cake or echo or how you hooked your background. It's that you made a conscious decision to hook it a certain way, in hopes of getting a certain effect. And certainly in this piece, there is a pronounced effect. It has a very vertical look in the background. It's very exciting to look at. It has a strong tapestry vibe because of the scattered flowers, because of the directional hooking. It almost looks like a weaving. Oh, hey, Ruth. Hi, we are here today from sunny Missouri. Great to see you and Richard. So beautiful piece, some close-ups of this piece. It's a 2-page article, so you'll see some other images of it in ATHA. And I'm going to skip over some more beautiful articles. They are all lovely, and they are all educational, interesting, inspirational. I get to a section from ATHA region number 1, which is the region that I live in too. This is the Wachusett Mountain chapter, and this article is by Sarah Barss, B-A-R-S-S, of Lancaster, Massachusetts. Anybody know Sarah? It's like Sarah, S-A-R-A. This piece is called Botanical Originals. I almost crapped in my pants. I died. I died 1,000 deaths when I saw this spread. So this is two pages as well. These are absolutely beautiful, and I don't know Sarah, but I would love to. I sent her a friend request, but I'm not sure she's on Facebook. These pieces are extraordinary. I'm going to show you. There's 4 of them here, and I have not seen her working on any of these, and these struck me as super, super. Hold on one second as I go. Okay, I do have others. Super decorative and historically relevant, right? All of the pieces I'm looking at look like they might have been taken from historical sources, prints, illustrations, tapestries, textiles, wallpaper, right? This one is called Topsy-Turvy Flowers, designed and hooked by Sarah Barss, 26 by 32. I think this is an exquisite piece. It has a great architectural backbone. You can see those flowers as medallions on the molding, right? The ceiling molding of like an old house, right? I love the title Topsy-Turvy because, of course, they go upside down, right side up. Absolutely charming, whimsical spin. It does have a very geometric and graphic feel, despite the lush flowers, the Corinthian style flowers, right? So it's got both things going on. It's very rigid and controlled in its geometry, but then it has these lush flowers. It takes us to the sort of style of Greek architecture, Corinthian, where it would feature both the very austere sort of designs, the geometrics, and the very lush, organic, naturalist florals and leafy patterns. This design has both. And I love the way that it's in this sort of frame of its own, right? It's not just a border. The border reads to me like a frame. Like it has that little light blue bit going around it. And then there's a square, like a trio of squares, like a square chain in the 4 corners. She's got 2 rows of very thin, careful red striping around the edge that brings your eye right back to the reds in the center. Clever. And then 1 final whimsical flourish doing the sort of freehand looking scalloping around the border. It doesn't look perfect. That's what I like about it, because it's yet another interesting contrast to the piece itself. The piece itself is pretty perfect, but you get to that border and it looks more like a sketchbook, right? It's like it's something that you would sketch out, and it doesn't necessarily seem like it fits the piece, and that's exactly why it does fit the piece, because it creates so much interest, right? Oh, Dave, great to see you. Snatched a bunch of winter toques yesterday at a thrift store. Great yarn haul. Oh, that's great. Are you going to unravel them and get all those good yarnies from them? Oh, that is a good. I never hear that word anymore. That's funny. That's a grandmother word in my world. I'm happy to hear that. This is a beautiful piece. I mean, this is an astonishing piece. And here's another astonishing piece, also by Sarah, Bugs and Flowers. This is 20 by, oh shoot, I'm sorry, someone's calling in the next room. I forgot to turn my phone off. Sorry about that. I'm sure it's a wind-up call. This is 20 by 28, Bugs and Flowers, and similar in feel, we have a graphic flower in the center, which could have been plucked from Ancient Anywhere, or William Morris, or an Art Nouveau poster by Mucha. Interesting. The bugs also could be illustrations in a children's book. They could be from a 18th century encyclopedia. They could be from the Audubon Society, and there's so many sources where you could get these kinds of motifs. Are you noticing the very Egyptian feeling scrolling, right? Very controlled and lyrical scrolling that's happening around the main flower and in the four corners. Interesting, because it does give it not so much the flowers for me. Well, the supporting flowers, the central flower is like an anytime flower, isn't it? But the supporting flowers do look a bit Egyptian in the way that they're designed, kind of that clamshell design, right? With that very noteworthy center that's yellow in this case, but usually a really large center, and then going toward, I don't know if this is the lotus flower or what, but certainly it looks like an Egyptian flower design. So to say it's historic is an understatement, right? It's a very, very old design, really beautiful. I love the way that that central flower connects to the other flowers. The central flower to me feels more modern. So it's interesting because I look at it and it becomes a storytelling piece on the old connecting to the new. And then we've got those lucky scarabs or beetles on the side. It's just a beautiful collection of motifs. It works well cohesively together. It's a one-fold piece, which means if you folded it in half, it would be symmetrical on both sides completely, including the border. So that's always a fun and successful piece to hook because you've got symmetry on your side. I love the white background, and I love the border on this too. We're almost seeing, like, again, like the Egyptian sun motif. It could be anywhere, right? The sun is one of the oldest motifs. But the corners bring me back to the Egyptian theme in my mind. At least the coloring does, right? But the blue part of the border is so whimsical, yet again, Sarah has her signature on the top and the year 23 on the bottom. And she's got these stylized sort of sprigs, like a little berry flower, and then the very geometric, balanced little leaves, right, on both sides. Very primitive motif, not at all like an Egyptian motif, right? I mean, unless it's standing up in context and it's part of a wheat field. This is a motif, the little vines with the berry flower, that I would say is a classic primitive motif. And it's nice to see it in the border. It's a nice collection of motifs that represent different times and different styles. Interesting again, just as much as the topsy-turvy flowers were interesting. This is the third one that Sarah has in here that's called Pink and Green Knot Vines, 20 by 29. Again, designed and hooked by Sarah Bars. And another beautiful piece, same border, and almost the same size as the bugs and flowers. Sorry. Gosh, I should have grabbed some water and turned my phone off. This is the same border as the last one, but how different are these two pieces? Distinctly different, right? Color-wise, this is much more of an Art Deco palette. These whispering 1920s, 1930s colors. This is much more arabesque, right? It's got all of these flowing lines, these opening buds that are a bit leafy. This also is very architectural. You could pass this design if you walked by, for example, someone's house that had an iron gate outside, or a church, or somewhere that had like some kind of a metal gate, including maybe a cemetery. You might find this motif, right? This looks like ironwork or fretwork or something like that. It could also be like marquetry, right, on an old wooden floor, or something painted on an old toll box, right, a little secretary box where you keep your letters and your pencils. This is another timeless design, and I love the border, the repeat border that she's used. These two pieces together, because they are one-fold pieces, symmetrical side to side, would go great near each other, wouldn't I? I mean, I would love hanging, I think all of her pieces. The first piece also was symmetrical side to side, and the final piece is symmetrical side to side. And just as a reminder to, you're all creative souls out there, just as a reminder, you do this by drawing a picture on one half, right? Let's do it real fast. And I'm not going to go full blast, but I draw a picture on one half of my thing, and let's say my picture is a flower pot with, let's put a giant tulip and a stem and another tulip. Let's add some leaves, and then I'm going to put a block in the corner with a circle. Say I do something like that, right, on one side. Oh, hey, I'm going to fold it in half under my light box, or I'm going to get a piece of tracing paper, and it's going to be absolutely identical on the other side. And before you know it, Bob's your uncle, and all of that, I'm going to have a very symmetrical piece that will be a beauty to hook, and it'll be, in terms of composition, a very strong composition because the symmetry is there. I might then have to be a pig and add some more. I'd have to add more, wouldn't I, because it's me. And you might have to add more too, just to keep the background busy and full and whatever. But you find you very quickly with symmetrical projects, you get there very quickly in the end. And it is fun to do these symmetry projects with a little pad of Post-it notes. Why not? Just sit there, make yourself a big tea or coffee or cocktail or whatever you want, and sit there with your Post-it notes and just draw halves and see how many you can do. Like, it's almost like sit-ups or push-ups, right? See if you can do 5, and then see if you could do 10, and you'll end up with a bunch of these little compositions that will make great sort of Caswell carpet repeat blocks, or something that will end up looking like a Baltimore album quilt with lots of blocks, or maybe you just fell in love with 1 or 2 and you're going to make them real big. Very fun to do symmetrical projects like this. And Sarah Bars's contribution here at the Botanical Originals is a great reminder that symmetricals are fun. Here's the 4th one, Bowl of Flowers, 23 by 29, Sarah's final one. Are such a lot of fun. Once you get your composition in there, whether you're doing something that looks like ironwork or a vase of flowers or beetle bugs or butterflies or whatever, then you choose your border, right? And your border doesn't have to be in the same style. That's one of the takeaways from this article, Botanical Originals by Sarah. It doesn't have to be the same style as the piece, and maybe it shouldn't be, right? It just creates a lot of interest when you have different styles and different color plans working for you in the same piece. ATHA Region number 11, the Northwest Rug Chapter. This piece is by Elizabeth Rice of Union, Washington. I was very, very happy to see this. This piece is called, this is an important piece, by the way. This is an important piece. There are lots of rugs, books on knitting rugs and crocheting rugs, but those books, without exception, focus on knitting or crocheting or weaving a rug with yarn, but not wool strips. And we use wool strips. So this is personally the only reference I have ever seen where someone has focused their attention on knitting a rug with wool strips as opposed to yarn. So to me, this is a really important article. Thank you to Elizabeth Rice of Union, Washington, for doing this. So you will see in the article, she describes how she does this. She even describes like casting on and how many stitches she'll make. But you can see, right, this could be a thing for you too, particularly if you're already a knitter as well. It might seem like more trouble than it's worth, but when you see these finished rugs looking this beautiful, knowing that they are knit with a wide wool strip, a 3/4 inch wool strip. So these could be wool strips that you rip, right? Or you can cut them with your scissors, or you can cut them with your rotary cutter, right? Your quilt cutter. But they are absolutely beautiful. So this might have some crossover appeal to you. Maybe you have accidentally bought some wool that's a little too thin or a little too thick, or you thrifted some wool that's not quite right. This might be the answer for you, particularly if you're a knitter. I think that is a really important article. Oh, good. Okay, so hold on one second. So that was the end of this ATHA magazine. I think that was a really important article. This issue of ATHA is already moving forward to talking about Solder Week, which is coming up in August. I will be there. I'm excited for that. That was another one of my projects in the last couple of days, was going back and forth on that, because I will have a rug show. I will have a gallery talk. I'll be there for Magpie Times, and I'll also be there for Tigger. So I've got like the holy trinity of insanity happening all in one place. But it'll all be fun, and I'll need lots of help and lots of volunteers with manning the various places, because obviously I can't be 3 places at once. I am super schizophrenic at times. I'm sure you've noticed at times. But I still can't do it, so I'm going to need a lot of help. And I'll give some shout outs to you all when the time gets a little bit closer. If you will be at Solder, maybe you can help out with being at the different booths. If you're someone who contributes to Magpie, or if you're someone who's part of Tigger, we could really use help with people sitting and answering questions and just having friendly faces. That's the most important thing, the friendly faces, right? We can always answer questions later if you don't know the answers, but nothing like a friendly face, right, when someone approaches. Let's go back to this book for a little while because we still have some time. Fabric Postcards by Judy Warren. We started looking at this, I think, 2 weeks ago because we were talking about doing our rug exchange and hooking our postcards. And we were saying how this book, specifically being about fiber art postcards, even though it's quilting, this book helps a lot with setting up, thinking about composing a piece this small, right? Quilters have different challenges, right? A lot of these, some of these are pieced, a lot of them are appliqued. It's got to be one or the other, right? There is no third way. But they have different challenges than we have. In a way, I think it's almost more difficult because, particularly if you're piecing, even if you're doing applique, you need a shape. We don't need a shape. We need one loop, right? And maybe it's a star in the sky and it remains one loop. We have two loops. Maybe it's a little chimney in the distance, but it's the two loops, right? We have different challenges. But looking at the way that quilters have, oh, you bought this book too. Isn't it a beautiful, I don't know if you got it yet. It is a beautiful book. It really is. This is one of the great inspiration books. The format on this book is it typically shows you what the photograph or the inspiration was and how it was translated as a piece of fiber art. It's very helpful in that regard. Rita says, if I get a room, I'll be there all week. Well, I hope you're going to be there because I am really looking forward to lots of hugs and times together and maybe some drinks. Ha, 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 ha. So let's see where we left off with this one. I need to get a room too. I'm going to sort that out. I probably won't stay there. I haven't, ever since this is so awful, and it's never anything personal because, you know, I love visiting and stuff. And as much of a type A as I am, when I shut down, I really shut down. And it's like a auxiliary switch that goes off, and after a while I'm truly done. And sometimes I don't hit that point in one day. Sometimes I'm good, like right through until bedtime, and I'm still like laughing as I fall asleep and chatting and whatever. But other times, if it's a big day and I have a lot of talking or teaching or something to do, the auxiliary switch goes on and I need to get the hell out of there. And this happened with me when I was a tour guide because I was with the 52 people every week, different people each week. And it was so much, you know, that by the end of the night, I always wanted to just be alone in my room and not interact at all, just not interact at all. And yeah, and I never know when the auxiliary switch is going to be put down, right? Like a Clark Griswold, the whole neighborhood is out, the switch goes down. So I typically don't stay at the place where I speak or teach or am present for that reason. Because when I do show up and you see my face, I want it to be good. I want you to know that I'm sincere and that I love you and that I'm present. And yeah, it's hard to balance that when I'm like right in the mix all the time. And you know, so I'm still figuring it out too, but I will certainly be there for the week because I'm committed to everything. I didn't mean to roll my eyes right there. Yeah, I think we all have that, right? We all have that, even with our best friends, even with our families, right? It is, it's a thing. Oh, Rita says, if I drove, I'd get a room at the Holiday Inn. I'm gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to check that. Yeah. Be at Sauter for a couple of days. Ruth says, I hope to be at Sauter for a couple of days too. Yes, we already have the book. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm as soon as I get past the next like one or two hurdles, and I'm making great progress with everything. We should start talking about that early, right? Just so we know where to find each other. Because it's not, you know, all the stuff that's happening at Sauter, it's not a bad idea if we could also, like, in contrary to what I just said, in contrast to that, I wouldn't mind like planning something right before or right after or on a quiet day, maybe right over the Pennsylvania line. I wouldn't mind getting together with a guild or something and just having a hangout, you know, for like 4 hours, just having like a hangout. So I'm thinking about that too, because I know I have a lot of buddies like in other places that are quite near. And I know that Sauter is like, I think, spoken for. Having said that, I really should write to Autumn and Oscar. Autumn and Rebecca are running the thing. I should really ask if there's a chance, because I would love to not just be sitting at a table like, you know, like a puppet, like Here is a brochure. I would love to get some time where I'm not speaking to a group and where I'm not sitting at a table answering while someone behind you is interrupting. I would like to get some time to just sit and hang out and work on projects. And I don't know if they have that at Solder because it's different this year, right? So let me ask her if there's something, if we could have like a chunk of time where we could have like a room that we could just sit and crash officially and not be like evicted or moved on, where we could just have some time to just sit and talk and fool around and yeah. Anyway, all right, let's keep going. Good thing we had this conversation because I do want to ask that. Ruth says, yes, it's like being a school teacher. I was for several years, and when I got home, I just wanted to be left alone and quiet for about an hour. Yeah, it's that detox time. Because I love seeing my friends, but I also encounter a lot of people I haven't met yet. So sometimes, it's so important to me to be present and for people to know when I'm with them, standing next to them, that I'm really there. And if you're really there, you really have to give a part of yourself, give your full attention, completely forget about everything that you're thinking about and worried about and what the next thing is that you meant to do, even if it's like run to the bathroom. And just you have to be present when you're with people who you care about, particularly in these situations where you hardly ever see each other. So I'm trying to create some really quality situations where we can really do that and be that. Plenty of room in the lobby. Small groups meet there. Do you know, Rita, if it's like official though? If like we were to just, I don't mean we like we're a separate group, but is there like tons of room? Like if there's another group that's using it like a guild, that there would still maybe be seats, because that could work out. All right, let's keep going. But yeah, I want to figure some downtime together. All right, that's what I mean. So, all right, we finished with this the other day. Lots of couches and chairs, and a fireplace. Okay, so that could be good. Maybe we can just set up a time where we say, hey, um, let's say, I'll put something out in our group and say, oh, we'll meet there at that time. Whoever is free is free. Let's do it. And you can buy wine at the desk. That's very important. That sounds like a great plan. Let's do that. Does anybody know the answer to this question? How far is Solder from the Magdalena Trail in Pennsylvania? Does anybody know that one? It's something I can maybe figure out. It's going to take some doing. All right, postcards. This is the last one that we ended on. So this will be in the episode of Fiber Arts Postcards. And this is the next one I want to look at. I'm skipping lots. So in this example, we're going to be looking at a photograph that was taken by Junko Yoshikawa, and this is Point Bonita in California. I wonder if this is this like Big Sur? Does anybody know? Very dramatic landscape. But anyway, this is a photograph that Junko took that says, when I was at Point Bonito in January of 1993, remember this is an older book, I took a walk in the evening with Nancy Halpern and Judy Warren. We are the three little people on the hill. Oh, the folks on the hill. Oh, I can't see them. I can't see them. We are the three little people. Oh, in the next one. Okay, you're about to see how this is translated. We are the three little people on the hill. It was a great experience to teach in the United States at such a beautiful place. And Yonko Yoshikawa is from Tokyo. So this is how this, now one more time, look at this piece and get ready for how it translates. Whoa. So there's a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of foreground added, lots of diagonals, right? And some of the diagonals are there in the regular piece, but there's also some land and some buildings added. There's a boat added, and there's a flag that says Point Bonita. On top of the rock, there's the three little buddies, right, who are together. So there's a lot of storytelling going on here, and that was added. The part that remains the same is the place, right? Where is the place? It's Point Bonita. Is there a rock? Yes, there's a rock. We were on it. Here we are. So there's some storytelling. It starts with the photo, but then you're adding on layers of this story that you actually experienced. And those are the parts that are present in the composition, but not present in the photograph. So just a reminder that you can go quite far with adding things in, right? Why not? Things that are important. Kaz says, Grace Collette drives to Sauter every year. You might want to ask her. That is so funny. I love Grace, and I think I'm going to see her this weekend because she is such a mobile person, right? Like she's all over the place. And I mean, I'm driving there and I'm already stressing out about it. I don't think I can share because I have so much stuff with me, like for the display. I might even have to rent a vehicle. But man, I love being with her. I should find out. It might be that I bring the family and stuff because it is a long time, you know, and it is the summer when the kids are off. Have to see how that plays out. But yeah, wish I could get my mom to come with me. It is a long drive. It's a hell of a long drive. But I know there's lots of help once I get there. But that's a great, I'll ask Grace about that this weekend because whenever I speak in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, she usually comes, right? She's such a little daredevil, right? She just drives all over the place. I love this piece. And again, it's a great example of what you can add. It's not just the photo that you took, right? It's what you would like to add to the photo. Let's do a couple of more before we switch books. So let me find this one. There's so many examples in this book of image and then how the postcard looks. I'm just flipping through. Hold on. It's funny that I can't. Here we go. So this is a piece by Mashiko Mayatani of Hyogo, Japan. This is a postcard taken in Barcelona, Spain. And Mashiko says, this picture was taken by my husband about 20 years ago. I'm very interested in this photograph. It also became the inspiration for an oil painting. So this was a great composition for Mashiko. She was inspired by it in several ways. I'm going to keep this open while I show you the postcard next to it. So this is the fabric postcard, 6 1/4 by 8 5/8. And you can see she's made some little changes here. She's taken out some of the small detail, as you must, and she's also added a slightly exaggerated curve to the road. And I think that really helps with perspective. It's very inviting, seeing your eye drawn in and around the corner. The vanishing point is through that arch where that little stripey ends. Interesting, right? Oh, Rita says there's a big pool for the kids. I love the hot tub there too. Well, maybe I should be looking at staying there if there's stuff for the kids. I should really get it together, right? It's like everything for me is money related. Like, what am I spending money on? This weekend I'm spending money on a hotel in Maine. It's hard to project forward, being a person with a craft business. But I think I better do it, right? Dang it. All right. She is a brave woman. She camps at Sauter Village. Oh, hell no. Sorry, I'm giving that a straight up, oh, hell no. If I better be staying in a place that's more comfortable than my own house. That's all I have to say. Because this is okay. Like, this house thing is okay. Now that we have hot water again, I can't do that. She is a brave woman. She's living her best life. That's for sure. Oops, sorry, wrong slideshow. That is one of the new sets that I have out. I've seen some sales happening, and I appreciate that. So let me move on from here, and I am moving to the second book at this point. So let me just mark the difference and say we have been looking at postcards from the Judy Warren book up till now, and we are moving to Postcard Quilts, book number 2. I also have book number 1. I just couldn't find it. This book is also really beautiful for what we're doing, and it's got some great images. Still talking about quilt, like quilt medium, right? Still very helpful for us in with the project that we're doing. But this particular one, volume number 2, is very focused on holidays. So as a direct inspiration for the postcards for the rug exchange, these are not necessarily place-oriented. They are holiday-oriented and season-oriented. So while the idea remains in place, what'll I design, right? It doesn't have to be a literal photograph to an image, right? You could say like, well, for example, let's look at the first slide. Here's a hat. This is a birthday image. Here is a hat with, let me find that image in the book, with candles on it. That's really a fun birthday image. This is called Cowboy Cake. This is Postcard Quilts by Caroline Reardon. So this is a Caroline Reardon pattern. And you can see that she has candles on the cake, right? And the cake is the Western hat. So Cowboy Cake. She made this for her brother Jim, and who raises and trains horses on a spread in Colorado. I guess that's like a farm or a ranch. For his birthday, this design was much more appropriate than a frou-frou layer cake with swirly frosting. Absolutely. I like the background of this fabric because it reminded me of tooled leather. So making conscious decisions, there's more text here, but making conscious decisions. Now, this isn't super relatable for the rug project that we're working on. Um, oh, thanks, Rita. I will definitely be reaching out. Um, um, I'll finish this thought and then I want to read Jessica's comment. This isn't exactly relatable for you necessarily in designing an image for your rug exchange postcard. Wish you were here, holiday postcards that also going into Magpie Times. But for example, just as a placeholder thought, say you live in a town where there's like, I don't know, remember those cake pans? Remember the cake pans that were like, I hardly ever see them anymore. You would get like strawberry shortcake or Care Bear or just like, they were like specific cake pans. Do you know what I'm talking about? Say you lived in the town where they make those cake pans, right? Then you might want to make an image that has a cake on it, right? Because you're referring to that business that's in that town. Say you live in a town where they make, I don't know, horseshoes. And that's one of the big things, that's one of the big industries in your town. Well, then you might end up making a little rug for the rug exchange that has a horseshoe and is not a landscape, right? So that's where I'm going with this thought. Let me read Jessica's question. I have a question about the fabric collages. Do they use glue? Are they stitching the quilting down everywhere? So that's a good question. I think, so in this book, in Judy Warren's book, most of these postcards are pieced. Let me show you one that you haven't seen yet. Piecing and quilting literally means you're making pattern pieces with seam allowance. You're tucking the seam allowance under, so there's not raw edges. You're tucking it under, and often you are adhering the fabric to the interfacing, and you're using, for example, one-way or two-way fusible interfacing. So the interfacing will stick directly onto that piece. You iron it or sew it. It's definitely easier to wrap the edges around and iron it, right? And then you hand sew it with as invisible a stitch as you can onto the backing, right? So piecing can work like that. Applique works like that as well. You're either making, this looks like an applique piece with lots of individual pieces that are probably fused onto fusible interfacing, in this case probably one. And you're piecing it together and then adhering it onto the background. If you're making a pieced quilt, right, a pieced block like this, there's very little difference between piecing and applique. It depends on how many pieces are pieced straight to each other. So for example, the background of this piece is probably the sky background and the bottom, and it's probably pieced, meaning sewn right here. The rest of it is so busy, I think that that's almost applique pieces. They're making each piece and sewing it down. But the top and bottom is probably a two-part tiny quilt pieced together with sewing here. And then everything else probably has to have been fused onto interfacing for stability and stitched down, right? So you can make them by stitching them, and you can make them by using interfacing and fusing them. The other option with quilts is to not hide the edges under. If you're hiding the edges, if you're doing applique or English piecing quilting, you're hiding the edges. You're not seeing raw edges. This book that we're looking at now, the author here, Caroline Reardon, is doing raw edges. So in other words, why am I showing you that when I have it here? In other words, this piece, the edges are exposed, right? They are not turned under. It's very tidy, right? I'm not seeing raw edges. I'm not seeing a lot of unraveling and messy edges. But with this piece, she does not have them tucked under. She is literally fusing the material onto two-sided interfacing, and then she's cutting it, right? So there's no edges. You can't see the interfacing because now they are one piece of fabric. And then she is peeling off the back of the interfacing and fusing it right on to the background, which in this case is the brown that she thought looked like tooled leather. Does that make sense? There is another form of quilting that is called raw edge quilting, And the point of, and there won't be examples of this, I'm sorry, wrong one again. There won't be examples of this in this book because what Caroline is doing is just, she is doing raw edges, but she's not doing the kind of raw edge where it's meant to look frayed. That is a style of quilting and it became popular like 20 years ago, but these are straight up on the interfacing, cut really clean and fused right onto the backing. So these are super, super fast to execute, super, super fast. So here is the cowboy hat. Here's another one that I thought could be a little bit more translatable, fish wish, to what we're doing. This is done in the same way, right? This is a fused piece, but she happens to have in this piece, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. She happens to have also introduced machine stitching. It is not put together with machine stitching. You can see that these are raw edges, right on there. But for an added effect, right, little detail, she is machine stitching over it all. I can guarantee you the machine stitching is not what's holding it together. The fusible interfacing, which has a little bit of glue on it, is what's holding it together. But the stitching is decorative, and it does add the feeling that there are waves running through this. It is directional. It's not utilitarian in this piece. I'm going to run over a little bit because I want to show you a couple more, and then we will kind of conclude this subject. This is another charming one, and this isn't easily translatable to... I also want to say this particular book has a huge section on zodiac signs. And whether or not zodiac signs are your thing, they are very specific zodiac signs, right? So while I love zodiac signs, I personally don't particularly like this. I stylistically don't particularly like these zodiac signs. So just be aware that in this book that I'm showing you, it is a wonderful techniques book. It is a wonderful inspiration book. But there are huge sections on holidays and zodiac signs. So if those things appeal to you, this is your book. If not, you might want to look at Postcards 1 or some of the other posts. Those are not subliminal messages. It's just that my slideshow is out of order, sorry, because the top one with those images, that's the ATHA episode that we just concluded. This piece is called Midnight Ride, a hat tip to the Longfellow poem about Paul Revere. Expecting parents will love getting this congratulatory card in the mail, one that they can also display in their nursery. So this, again, doesn't really help us with our destination postcards that we're creating, but it is a beautiful example of a simple composition, right? And you notice how with the lamplight, it looks like she used crayons to like color over the gingham in the background so that it looks like there's some lamplight. She also used a crayon on the cheek of the child to make that more pink. So different medium, right? But interesting effects. And this piece again is raw edges. It's raw edges, and I'm sure that it's fused onto the background material, which doesn't look like it's pieced here. It looks like it's all raw edges. The gingham and then the orange plaid on the bottom. And she is using stitching here and there. You can see it in the window panes. You can see it on the perimeter of the lampshade, the child's clothing. But I do not think that the stitches are holding the piece on. I think interfacing is holding the piece on. And she does say on the next page, fusing units. So she is talking about fusing. Fusing means using an iron and using interfacing. Interfacing is safe. It works great. You don't have to worry about the longevity of it with quilted pieces. This is another piece from this book that I just happened to love. It is not a destination subject. It's called Valentine Bouquet. Again, going back to the subjects in this book that are on holidays. But another beautiful example for a composition in general. It does actually look like she quilted the background of this. I feel that it is fused, but it looks like there is a little bit of padding in the background of the top of it. I feel like there is some relief here, relief meaning height, right? Because of the way the stitching looks, it looks like there's some padding under there. So just another different techniques with this one, but I can see that the hearts that are in the bouquet have raw edges to them. And I think that, oh no, this isn't our last one, but this is one that does kind of translate well for us. because it's a landscape. Let me find out. I'm going through lots of flags, bunny rabbits, Halloween pumpkins. This one is called Over the River. I guess in Through the Woods, right, to grandmother's house. So Over the River, this is a landscape, and this is the kind of design that you could be thinking of for your area. It's a very simple design. Let me also show you the drawing of it, because you can see in the background that dark, the evergreen row of trees, that is one piece. So for us as rug hookers or designers, while the finished postcard might look a little bit busy, the actual piece is not. And isn't that interesting? Because you do want a simple piece when you are doing something small, like a postcard design. Let's see what else I have in this episode for you. Okay, and this is, I think, a Christmas tree, Christmas theme. This is the Nativity, of course. This is an interesting composition in my mind because in terms of design and jamming things in, she's got two peaks here. One of the peaks is the kind of creche, the architecturally the roof line, and the other peak is the North Star shining down at an angle that is basically the same, almost the same sort of degree of angle as the peak of the creche or the building. I think this is a beautiful design, and one of the things that's interesting about it is you're not making a nativity for the rug exchange, but you might be trying to jam a lot of something in one area. Just remember, you can overlap silhouettes, right? That's the device that's happening here. She's overlapping all these different animal silhouettes. She's using quilt fabric. We would just be working in silhouette. It does work to overlap simple shapes, doesn't it? Because you can jam them together as part of your storytelling. Depending on what you're doing, it's a great idea. This is what I just wanted to show you because I thought it was so cute. Chicken soup. This is such a nice country composition. Maybe your town is the soup making, and maybe that's where Campbell's is. I don't think you can use this idea, but for soup. But it might be something that you're interested into, evolving into a different kind of a piece. I just thought it was cute as a button. There could be anything in the soup as well. I'll just remind you, this is actual soup. There could be anything coming out of that soup. It could be the Loch Ness Monster coming out of that soup. But I thought it was just a sweet piece. And as rug hookers, we tend to love our country subjects, right? Notice no people in the creches. Karen, that's a great point. No people in the creches, right? As soon as you get to silhouettes of people, we are talking about some real estate on a postcard size, right? The animals are easy to jam in. If you see nativity compositions, you see Noah's Ark compositions, animals I think are much easier to overlap and jam together. As soon as we're talking about people, I feel like just in terms of intention, depending on how you feel about religion and these stories, jamming people together might be less sort of savory in terms of intention. With a piece like this, right? We're talking about sacred people. It depends on how you feel and how your designing goes. No judgment on my part. But whereas animals, it's like, okay, there's a camel, there's a donkey, here's a sheep. Come on, let's go. But with people, it can be a little bit different. It's different subject matter when we're talking about, for example, the Holy Family. So it depends on how you feel about that. But it's a very good point. There are no people in here. These are the kinds of decisions that you must make when you're working on any composition, but especially when you're working on a composition that is a very small format. You need to be thinking about what's important, what can I cut, will my story be lost if I cut this or that, or is it going to work? Right? These are decisions that only you can make based on your aesthetic, based on your how you feel about the composition and the subject matter. Sophie's Garden. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong ones. Butterfly Sky. It's very similar to Sophie's Garden. Sophie's Garden was all flowers. Here's butterflies. Hey, do you live in a town that has like a butterfly, what do you call them? Butterfly garden where they land on you? Maybe, if so, it might be nice to make a butterfly composition for your rug exchange and then talk about the butterfly farm or whatever in your area. Maybe you just love butterflies and you'd like to do a summer composition. This is a great composition that relies completely on a colorful horizon line and then just the open sky with all of these different colored butterflies, multiples. composition that revolves around multiples of the same thing, of butterflies. These kinds of compositions always work really well. And one final one for this episode. This is out of the office, right? I'll say. And beautiful composition that revolves around 3 shelves of landscape, horizon lines. Actually 4. The beach, the distant beach, the water, and the sky. Once you have those in place, then you do your personal storytelling. Do you want to add palm trees? Do you want to add your pretty flip-flops on your beach chair? Do you want to add a sand castle, right? Or some kind of a shanty or a little tiki, whatever. Up to you, right? But layers, adding layers of storytelling. And in this case, it's a beach scene. So maybe somebody lives in a beach community and you're thinking, ooh, this makes a lot of sense. I can start my design with some shelves or layers of color that represent sand, sea, sky. And then you can think about what you would like to put into the foreground. Maybe nothing. Maybe add some trees or some birds or a bird singular, and maybe that's enough. Interesting, right? So this is one that could translate as a postcard place. So I will remind you, in this one episode, we concluded our look at ATHA magazine. This is the current ATHA magazine. This is April, May 2025. And then we concluded our look. We did a lot of wrap-ups in this episode. Judy Warren's book on fabric postcards to help us with designing our postcards for the postcard rug exchange, and also that issue of Magpie Times. And we concluded with Postcard Quilts Volume 2, very specific to holidays, zodiac signs. There's not a lot else that's happening in this issue, very few, and I think you've seen the exceptions. It is a beautiful book, and there is a Volume 1. There might even be a Volume 3. This book is by Caroline Reardon, and I told you Judy Warren did the fabric postcards. So we wrapped up 3 different periodicals in this episode. And I think they're all great books / ATHA magazine that will be a great help to you with doing your planning for your composition and all of that. One more reminder that I will be in Maine this weekend with the Tin Peddlers Guild, and we will be doing a composition class. That should be a lot of fun. This afternoon, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am running Design Like Sonia Delauney or Delauney. And this is a interactive, I never put you on the spot and ask you to show your stuff, but we will be looking at her. She's a jazz age artist along with her husband, Robert, who's also very famous. I will be looking at her work as a pattern designer, textile designer, fashion designer, and a painter. So we will go through her life story and pull out some composition challenges that are built into the class. It is not too late to sign up for that. And if you can't be there in person this afternoon, it is recorded and it will be sent to you at the end of the day. So I'm running that between 4 and 6 p.m. Today. The site, Eastern Standard Time, the sign up link should be here in this video, but also at Ribbon Candy Hooking, you'll see as one of the main page items right now, the Design Like Sonia Delauney class that happens this afternoon. If you have a window of time and you'd like to get together for that, I did send out an email already. You will get that email. There is a printable, 3 printable pages if you like. If not, I show those pages in the PowerPoint presentation. So if you're not able to print them, you can draw them straight from the screen, right? So there's not necessarily any prep. Just be sure you're sitting there with your drawing materials, your paper and your pencils. If you like erasers, whatever you like. And we will be together for that. That is recorded. So I will see you later this afternoon at 4. Otherwise, be looking for when the next live show is. It is a holiday week for me next week with the kids, but I will be live to you, just not for a Friday show because I will already be in Maine, positioned for my morning class with the Tin Peddlers Guild. I will see you all soon. I will let you know when. In the meantime, have a great few days until we are back together again. Thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, and a huge shout out to Patreon members. Thank you for your support, particularly during this very difficult time. I super appreciate you.